Grace and peace to you. I'm Matt Henderson, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Clarkesville, Georgia, and this is your Midweek Connection. Last Sunday was the story of the consecration of the people and the establishment of the covenant at Sinai. And this Sunday, we'll tell the story of Ruth. Now, there's a lot that happens in between, so I thought it'd be helpful to provide a brief overview. Following the giving of the Ten Commandments, the instructions and building of the tabernacle, and all the related matters of the covenant and law, the people follow Moses to the border of the Promised Land. Spies are sent to scout out the land, but when they return, the report is mixed. 8 of the spies report that while the land is good and indeed flowing with milk and honey, the current residents look quite formidable and fear begins to spread. However, Joshua and Caleb report from a different perspective. They acknowledge that the inhabitants might be mighty, but what God has promised, God will accomplish, and God is mightier. Well, fear wins out, and the people fail to follow Joshua and Caleb's faith-filled advice. And for that lack of trust, God prohibits them from occupying the Promised Land for a whole generation, 40 years. Moses, too, only sees Canaan from the border before his death. Joshua leads the new generation into that which God has promised, and a series of military campaigns are put into action with God granting them victory over seemingly unsurmountable odds, including the famous destruction of Jericho and its walls. The people see that what God promised, God accomplishes, and in a way that can only be attributed to divine action. And with the final campaign finished, the people begin to establish their 12 tribal territories. Then following Joshua's death, the people begin a cycle of idolatry and faithlessness, followed by strife and war with their neighbors, most often the Philistines. These times of conflict are understood as part of God's discipline for their disobedience. Yet for each generation, God raises up a voice, a judge, to call the people to faith and to deliver them from their enemies. Gideon, Deborah, Jehud, and the famous Samson all serve as combination military leader and spiritual guide, calling the people to a faithful living in response to God's victory over their enemies. The people turn away from God, worship idols. Their enemies triumph over them. A judge is raised up to fight for them. Victory is divinely given. And for a time, the people respond with faithfulness. But soon the cycle again repeats. It is during this time of the judges, before the establishment of the kingdom, that the story of Ruth takes place, which we'll experience on Sunday. Before concluding this interlude, let me ask, do you need a nudge by a judge into faithfulness? And what are you placing your trust? Do you believe that what God has promised will come true? Do you believe God is bigger and mightier than any of this world's challenges? Do you believe that if you step back and gave your battles over to God, that God would give you victory? Or are you trapped in a cycle of fear and disbelief? Know that the same God who has been at work throughout history is at work now in your life. Trust the Lord. Lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge God, and God will make your path straight. Choose this day to serve the Lord. Be faithful and know that you are never alone, for God is on your side. I hope you join us Sunday for the story of Ruth and the celebration of World Communion Sunday. Until then, the peace of Christ be with you.